this is about Metroid. And I'm a very big Metroid fan. I originally started with Metroid Prime 2, then eventually played all like the other Metroid. I played Zero Mission a lot. Super Metroid was one of those where I sunk a lot of time in. Metroid Prime 1. Um, I for some odd reason I have like an issue a little bit with Metroid Prime 3. I didn't like it as much. I think that's probably due to the fact that I didn't like the controls of the Wii. Maybe if they ever release 3 again, that might change, you know? Because yeah, Metroid Prime 3 completely relied on the motion control of the Wii, which was sucked a little. Yeah, and I love Dread. I loved Samus Returns on the Nintendo on the 3DS, you know? And yeah, apparently they are hiring the woke squad pretty much. So yeah, let's get into this. This is the future of Metroid is in serious doubt by Smash JT. Yeah, let's get into it.
Metroid is one of the greatest video game series of all time, and if you haven't played it, you owe it to yourself to at least try it out. Because not only
I 100% agree. This truly is a peak Metroidvania. This is really one of those franchises that you should definitely like check out and at least like play. Like the games are pretty much like all games are pretty much available on emulators. Except for Dread, you can easily get to play any game of that series. It is that good.
Not only has it had groundbreaking mechanics and new ways to play, creating literally an entire genre of gaming just.
Also, tell me if it's too loud, right? Tell me that. That's important, right? If it's too loud, tell me. Or too silent, whatever.
Based off of the name alone, but also featuring a female protagonist and being one of the first games in history to do such a thing and bringing it to such prominence. And thankfully, up until now, it's been able to avoid that dreaded modern audience. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. A story is breaking right now that some people might hear this and say, oh man, Smash, you are blowing this way out of proportion. It's really not that big of a deal. But the more research I did on it and the further I went down this rabbit hole, the more I realized it actually could be some serious foreshadowing for the future of the series. Mercury Steam, the Spanish developer.
Mom, I'm scared. The weak people are creating hard times again.
Development studio behind Metroid Dread has recently followed quite the controversial figure on Twitter known as Blizzy. Blizzy is a Spanish feminist activist, and many have dubbed her the Anita Sarkeesian 2.0. She's backed by several activist organizations.
Anita Sarkeesian? That's not good. No! Not again! Not again! Stay away from this! Not another one of these.
And uses her platform to push censorship of in-game content, especially regarding portrayals of women that she claims to perpetuate harmful norms and stereotypes. This is someone that uses the grift of feminism to their advantage to make money, caring not for what they destroy along the way. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article about how Mercury Steam has followed Blizzy and how this could provide a lot more negative insight for the future direction of Metroid in general. Metroid fans, brace yourselves. Mercury Steam, the Spanish development studio behind Metroid Dread and the Castlevania Lord of the Shadows series, is raising some proverbial eyebrows once again.
But Dread was so good. Metroid Dread was so good. I'm gonna be careful, but I don't believe it's gonna be too bad, right?
over a recent social media choice and the potential impact on future Metroid games. The studio has drawn attention not for their gameplay innovations or upcoming projects this time, but instead due to an ideological shift that has many fans of the series extremely concerned. And when we dive into the background of this Blizzy character, it's going to tell you all you need to know about this Anita Sarkeesian 2.0. Learning the Law on Twitter said, breaking, Mercury Steam, the famous Spanish developer known for Castlevania Lord of Shadow and Metroid Dread, lately has been recruiting far-left developers into their team and has plans for new games in the Metroid Prime franchise.
So this would not only affect the 2D games, 2D in quotes, this would also affect the Prime series? Ugh. Ugh. That's awful.
They were caught following a well-known Spanish figure dubbed Anita Sarkeesian 2.0. Blizzy is an activist backed...
Get Gohan out of the way! Yo, the Red Deer, how are you doing? Hope you're doing good. Get Gohan out of there! Help my boy!
by several organizations and is known for promoting censorship of games that feature revealing clothing on female characters.
Is this low quality because of me? Is it? It's low quality because of the screenshot.
Her main goal is to combat heteronormativity. She has published books and profited from using Anita Sarkeesian's material. Her account is locked following the allegations from Spanish individuals.
Heteronormativity. That's god, not that kind of buzzwords. Not those buzzwords, heteronormativity. Yeah, being hetero is normal. Sorry that scares you.
Individuals that she attempted to shut down dissenting voices who disagree with her radical views, and this is concerning. We are talking about a company that embraces the goals of feminist frequency in charge of future Metroid games. And in the interest of giving the full story, you guys know I don't want to give half of it. There is another side to this, which is why I say take all this as just a concern at this point. Spring on Twitter replied to me saying, Mercury Steam is a third-party studio who work with Nintendo, and when they work on Nintendo games, they work directly with Yoshito Sakamoto, the creator of Metroid. They do not have creative control.
Hey, then it might not be too bad, right? Then it might not be too bad, you know? As long as the original creator is there. Usually franchises go to shit when the original creator is no longer involved, which is why I'm gonna be interested in how Dragon Ball is gonna evolve.
Control over Samus. This is considered co-development. Source below, and he links the official Nintendo YouTube video of the development of Metroid Dread. And he said, also, Retro Studios is technically the developer for Metroid. They are 100% owned by Nintendo. The future of Metroid is absolutely not in doubt. So now that I've given both sides of the perspective, I want to dive further into this video as why I lean towards being concerned just like Manga Lawyer is, knowing that deep down, ultimately, Nintendo does have creative control, and hoping that ultimately they always will make the right choice in the future. Once a studio known for high-stakes action games and a commitment to delivering experiences...
People say that it is not a concern, but then you have to realize that Pokemon officially has hired, we know this. There's an article out there, there's sources out there. We know that, well, Pokemon has hired a DEI person already, who, funnily enough, is also a yoga instructor before that, which is really weird. That is really weird. But yet, we should take this with a grain of salt. However, again, I don't know.
That fans treasure, Mercury Steam has, unfortunately, more recently, made a curious choice by actively going beyond recruiting developers and influencers with agendas that extend far beyond just game design. They've been spotted following Blizzy, a Spanish activist that's been dubbed Anita Sarkeesian 2.0, someone who stands out for their openly radical views against men specifically. Backed by several activist organizations, Blizzy's platform pushes for the censorship of in-game content, especially regarding the portrayals of women that she claims perpetuate.
You know how we would be able to shut up every modern feminist? 3 days where all men on the entire planet go on a strike. The world is gonna implode, pretty much. I don't get these people. I really don't get these people. I didn't even do anything. She hates me. What is this?
Harmful norms. Her public history aligns directly with the goals and the methods of Anita Sarkeesian's feminist frequency, which I've spoken about previously on this channel. Her influence has only grown due to her governmental ties. For years, she's used her platform to criticize games featuring female characters with, get this, revealing clothing, because oh my god, you can't do that because that marginalizes women.
I find this double standard very interesting. However, with her position, but I probably know her position by now. Probably, it's interesting when feminists push for women not being revealing in video games. But then the interesting part becomes that those same feminists have no issue when women undress themselves on porn websites. Isn't that interesting? I find that very, very confusing. I have to say, that is very, very confusing.
Or something. But it's totally fine if, like, I don't know, a dude takes his shirt off in a game. No one's going to complain about that. She argues that this kind of aesthetic combats heteronormativity by...
Yeah, because when we take a shirt off, men think, "Oh my god, I need to look like that." That's pretty much what happens in video games when men take their shirt off. Dude is ripped, gotta hit the gym.
Enforcing what she perceives as outdated gender stereotypes, and you know exactly where I'm going with this. Blizzy's activism isn't just limited to social media or independent events. According to Cry Alexa on Twitter, the Spanish government, particularly the Ministry of Equality, has extended a platform to her by sponsoring events where she's spoken to young people on feminist topics within gaming. And those same people that she talked to, those kids, laughed her out of the room, embarrassing her to the point of making her cry. So I guess from a certain level.
Wait, what? So let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. The Spanish young people wiped the floor with her. Well, that's interesting to see.
Light, there is some hope for the future. Cry Alexa on Twitter said, "Hello, Mangaloyer. Blizzy is a Spanish activist who has been allowed by the Spanish government to give talks and even go to institutes to indoctrinate kids. She has been playing the victim for years because they expose her ridiculous feminist activism by looking for problems in video games that she invents to cry about. Many right-wing Spanish YouTubers have laughed at her for years, and she tried to get the government to make laws to silence them in addition to having half of Twitter blocked. A few days ago, I made a video about her because she was at a talk and the kids left her crying by ignoring her and laughing."
There is hope for the future! Can we have those kids here in Germany and our German kids can go there? Please? Well, that wouldn't solve the problem, but it would ease my pain. These young people are based
at her. And I know a lot of people are going to hear this and say, okay, but what does this have to do with Metroid? So they followed her on Twitter. Big whoop, they follow a lot of people on Twitter. Who cares? Not a big deal. You can't cancel someone for who they follow, which is very true. But you got to admit, it's a little bit, I don't know, curious that the studio behind Metroid Dread just followed a very big activist feminist on Twitter. And you don't have any kind of concerns about that? The potential for Blizzy's influence with Mercury Steam is raising some questions about the future of Metroid in general. The franchise rooted in action, exploration, and a welcomed, nuanced approach to gender representation, Metroid's heroine, Samus Aran, has been a cultural icon in gaming for decades, celebrated for her strength and independence. But if the development team behind her next adventure prioritizes this kind of ideologically driven change, a lot of people fear that that very thing is what destroys the very qualities that made Samus special in the first place. Because once again, the people invading the video game industry do not care about video games. They care about...
We know this. We already know this. That they do not care about video games. We have two types of people that enter video games, right? Video gaming in general. We have the activists that push their own agenda, and we have the ones that want to make money. And both of these, if left unchecked, will ruin games. When I talk about money, I mean like in general, like these investors who just want to, push their own goal of like making games for money's sake and not games for the sake of releasing a quality product. Yeah, that's pretty much what I mean.
About pushing ideologies, feminism, marginalized voices, pushing the agenda to the max, and destroying the entire industry, leaving it in their wake, not caring about the consequences of any of their actions. Myself and many longtime Metroid fans are extremely wary of what's going to lie ahead with all of this. For anyone that wants to get mad at me for bringing up this as a concern, that Mercury Steam's influence of the future of Metroid may be overblown, I understand that Metroid is ultimately controlled by Nintendo and the series co-creator Yoshito Sakamoto, not Mercury Steam. And if Mercury Steam fails to deliver, and if they're a part of anything Metroid moving forward, hopefully Nintendo can just shift the series to another.
The problem with that is that these people usually weasel their way into franchises. They rarely when it's like a franchise that doesn't really like have anything to do with that kind of stuff. They usually weasel their way into it. So I do consider it a concern, not a big concern, as it isn't any main branch of like a main branch, but still, if these people usually weasel their way into this.
Another developer, because the buck stops with Nintendo, and hopefully they see enough and haven't been influenced enough by worldwide propaganda that's going on that's affecting other Japanese studios like Square Enix in particular right now, but also Namco Bandai, among a slew of others that are completely shifting the dynamic of how they make games because of ideologies that are being pressed worldwide right now. Thankfully, for the time being, Nintendo hasn't gone off the deep end yet, but it seems like it's just a matter of time, unfortunately, based off of the surrounding circumstances. Which is exactly why I want to call this out as soon as I see it happening, because this is exactly the type of slippery slope that always seems to transpire and turn into something far worse down the road. So at least I can say when it happens, hey, remember when Smash made that video talking about how Metroid Dread and Metroid in general might be going down the proverbial woke path? Well, here was the signs. The warning signs were all there, and nobody did anything to stop it. Let's hope that's not the case. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Again, shout out to Mangaloria.
Okay, so pretty much, for now it seems like a nothing burger. However, this is still concerning as these people, like I said before, they weasel their way into franchises, yeah, movies, TV shows, video games, music. These people usually weasel their way into this, so not a big issue, however, very concerning still.